Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me today. I am honored to be here to kick off the very first Code Connects. Anything done by PHP women is something I'm a fan of, so very cool. So when Elizabeth reached out to me and said she was going to be doing a conference and that some of it was, soft skills type part, and asked me to do the keynote, one of the things that I thought would be kind of fun, I'm one of those people who believe the world would truly be a better place if when I was feeling some overriding emotion, I could just break out into song about it. And then of course a couple of random passersby would stop and do a little synchronized dance in the background, because that's really how life should be. And so, what I know, right? Wouldn't life be happier? I feel like we would all be in a much better place.
Would it be better if you sang that?
So what I've done here is I actually whittled it down a little bit. It was originally 10 songs and then some kind of career advice we can glean from these popular songs. So hopefully it will be useful. My name is Jennifer Marsman. I am a principal developer evangelist for Microsoft. I do have a blog. I am on Twitter. For my day job, what I do is I'm completely focused on Windows 8 development. So if anybody is curious, you can do Windows 8 development using just HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So if you guys are interested in more information about that, I do have a Windows 8 machine and I'm happy to chat more about that with anybody who wants to talk about it. But for now, let's kick off. What are the secrets of success in the style of GLEE?
Nice.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Who sings this? All right, you already got it. 10 points. 10 points to Gryffindor, right there. All right, so speak now. What I mean by speak now, my tip around this is not, in fact, that you should leave anyone at the altar, which is, in fact, what the song is actually about. But it's be vocal. Be vocal, right? I used to think when I first graduated from college and started in this industry that, I was one of those folks that was kind of afraid to ask questions, like in meetings, sounding stupid, sounding like I didn't understand as much as everyone else in the room what was going on. And I found over time that that's actually wrong. There are some people that I actually have a higher opinion of now based on the quality of questions that they ask. Like literally, these people just ask such intelligent questions that I'm like, this is someone who's very smart, who's someone that I want to be. And so it really is true. And then also along the same vein of speak now and being vocal. So first of all, one of the worst feelings ever, maybe some of you guys can relate, is when you're sitting in a meeting, you're brainstorming and doing stuff, and you have an idea. But it's not like a fully baked idea, it's just kind of an idea, and so you think about it and you don't say it out loud yet. And so people keep talking, and then like 15 minutes later, someone else says your idea that you thought of out loud, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's the best idea ever! Yeah, we're totally gonna do that! And you're like, damn it, I had that same idea 15 minutes ago, and you didn't speak up. So honestly, being vocal, very, very good thing, will help you. And then finally, I work with a lot of students. I go out and speak to students. And one of the top questions I always get is, what is your advice for, rocking an interview? They always want interview tips and tricks. And honestly, my top piece of interview advice is, and this sounds a little bit crazy, but never stop talking. And so I don't mean, talk over your interviewer, because that would be bad. But I mean a couple things. So first of all, when I went to interview at Microsoft, I was like, okay, here's what I think we need to do. Here's the feature of and I think I don't remember what team I was interviewing for, but I had like a laundry list of here's the things that I think we need to fix. Here's the stuff that's good. Here's stuff that's bad. And me. And they're trouble getting me to shut up. And when people have that kind of passion for things, they want you working there, right? People who have passion around what they do, I mean, that's huge. You want to work with other people who are excited to get up and do what they do in the morning. That's the kind of people that you do want to hire. And so don't force it. If you're not, I have a little bit of a naturally, bubbly, annoying personality. And so if you're not like that naturally, it's not something worth faking. But if you are, naturally enthusiastic, let that shine, and that can really help you. Secondly, about never stop talking, ask questions, right? The interview thing is not a one-sided process. You don't necessarily, the interviewer asks questions, you answer, et cetera, et cetera. Even, as simple as, the typical, I don't know, find a way to copy one string to another string, whatever. Okay, do you want me to optimize for speed or for space? You want me to, tell me a little bit more of the problem. Where are we doing this? Those kind of questions are very intelligent questions and could, in fact, change how you would answer the question. So asking questions is always a good thing, and just getting clarification too. Like, I know there's a lot of design problems too, and if you show that you're thinking about the customer, your end user, I mean, that's huge, right? We want to be thinking actively about our users. And so things like, you know, design a house for someone, and what might that look like, kind of deal. Okay, is it a house for a blind person? Is it a house for an NBA player who's super tall? Like, these kind of things might actually affect what that design would look like. So thinking about that. And then the third part of never stop talking, besides, you know, it demonstrates passion, you have the, you can ask lots of questions. And then the third part is, if you get stuck on a question, talking through it is like the best way to move forward. I've seen situations where you get stuck, you get a question in an interview and you just have no idea what the answer is. And so you can kind of do the deer in headlights thing where you're just like, and be stuck. Or talking through it helps show your thought process and what you're actually thinking, and that's going to help the interviewer more than anything. So even if I don't know the answer right away, I can say, well, the first thing that popped into my head was X, but I know that that's wrong because of these reasons, blah, 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 blah. And then you can kind of talk through that. And then the interviewer, sometimes if you're smart, good with people, kind of, and can read people, a lot of times the interviewer will give you facial clues on when you're on the right track and when you're not. And so you can kind of get some feedback of, here, this is, you know, not going to work for this reason, and they can kind of say, well, you know, assume this, or, you know, they can kind of help guide you. So just showing that thinking process is actually more important in an interview than getting to the right answer, I think, as an interviewer. I want to see how people think, so that they can break down a big problem into smaller problems and that sort of thing. All right? So being vocal. Speak now.
Nice. Bonnie Raitt.
Very good. Oh, you guys are way too good at this. These are all pretty popular songs. Okay, so let's give them something to talk about. What I mean by this, the career advice I would pull out of this song is, so I work on a distributed team, meaning I live in the Detroit, Michigan area, actually Ann Arbor, Michigan area, if people are familiar with that. And my boss lives in Chicago, and my colleagues live in Columbus and blah, 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 you know, all over the country, actually. It's a distributed team. And for a distributed team, if you work on a distributed team, this is absolutely essential. But even if you don't work on a distributed team, this is really, really important. And what I mean by this is giving them something to talk about. Half of my job is doing great work, and then the other half is remembering to tell my manager about it. All right, letting people know what you're actually working on and what you're doing. Because a distributed team especially, manager does not see any of the day-to-day, right? So my manager has no idea that I'm in Indianapolis right now, no clue. Because I don't, you know, we don't text each other, hey, here's where I am. And so at the end of the day, he has to know what I'm doing. And so take advantage of any opportunity that you have with these folks to give them stories to tell about you. Because at the end of the day, my manager's job, here, I'm going to tell you a secret about management. This is going to totally offend every single manager in this room. Managers don't actually do real work. What? The job of a manager, the job of a really, really good manager is to take the top level vision and translate that into execution, which should be done by the leaf nodes below them. All right, so that's really what a manager does, or what a manager should do, is take that top level vision and then translate that into an action plan that the people below them actually execute on. All right, that is the job of a manager, and I'm not saying that is a hard job, believe me, and then plus there's all the politics and other crap that you have to deal with as a manager. But and staff ranking and calibrating and giving people development and all that stuff. But the thing that can be really difficult about being a manager is when their manager comes to them and says, so, you know, what have you guys accomplished? They need to have stories to tell. So I want my manager, when my grandpa on the org chart, if you think of the org chart as a family tree, which I always do, and everyone should, because it makes a lot more sense. So if my grandpa on the org chart comes to my daddy, okay, no, that sounds wrong, but if my grandpa comes to my manager and says, hey, what has your team been doing? Then I want my manager to be able to say, well, last week Jennifer was in Indianapolis and she delivered the keynote at this, you know, new conference called Code Connects, and it was really awesome, and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I want him to have stories to tell about me. So So part of that is just communicating and making sure your manager is aware and that you're kind of highlighting your successes. And this was really hard for me because, you know, the whole nice girls don't talk about themselves and bragging and all that stuff was you know, a little bit hard at the beginning. But you really do have to be able to communicate what you are working on and make sure that the folks around you know about it, or your manager at least is aware of all the good stuff that you're doing, so that you can get some visibility for that. Okay? And then there's a lot of ways to do that. You can do things like trip reports. One-on-one meetings with your manager is a very good way to communicate these things. Summary status emails, whatever works for you. That's the name of it. Nice. There's dancing in the audience at least. I love that. What? Who sings this? Nice. This is such a good song. Most of these are pretty popular songs that most people know. And actually, one of the ones that was less popular, I took out just because it's only 40
Oh, we need
minutes.
a bonus question. Come on.
What's that?
We need a bonus question.
Okay, well, dude, we can go into the overtime. Just let me know. You can pull me off with the cane because I have more than just the ones in here. All right, so respect. So this is, I think, something that's especially applicable to people kind of at our level, and I apologize if I'm making a gross generalization here. But so what I mean is people who are not, you know, fresh-faced, new out of college, but people who've been in the industry for a little while. Because I think once you're right out of college, you know you're the low man on the totem pole. You're there to learn from other people until you get your feet under yourself and all that stuff. And I think you start out a little more, you know, humble. And then you get to the point, like I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary with Microsoft, and so I've been there 10 years, and I pretty much know everything. And you know, you start to feel a little bit more secure, and you've kind of maybe you're at the top of your group of peers or whatever the case may be. If you've been there and been doing it for a while, you start to kind of get comfortable, and you may stop. This is where I think this problem may start to emerge sometimes, and so. So talking about respect, let me back up first and tell my why is diversity important story, because I have to work that into every single talk that I give. The why is diversity. So I was able to benefit from a whole lot of girls in tech type stuff. My father was an engineer, and he put me, I think, in girls in science and math programs since I was a little girl, and I've always kind of been into science and math, and so I was very fortunate to have incredibly supportive parents who did all this stuff. And the thing that's kind of sad, though, is I never realized really why it was important until my first job out of college. So all through college, all through childhood, whatever, I did all this kind of women in tech, girls in tech stuff, and never really stopped to say, does it matter? Who cares, right? Does it actually matter if there are more women in technology or not? Or is it just something they're doing nice because women were disadvantaged in the past, blah, 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 blah. But the answer is, and this is what I learned, is that it really is important, and here's why. When I was in my first job with Microsoft out of college, so I was a developer actually, I was out in Redmond at that point, and when I got stuck on an algorithm or a problem or some coding issue that I just could not figure out, what I would do is go talk to 3 different people. First, I would go to Jay, and Jay, talk about stereotypes, oh my god. So Jay was one of the guys with the full beard, the Birkenstocks in the middle of the winter, the shorts, you know, all the time, old school Unix guy, so total stereotype type guy. But Jay was awesome, so I'd usually go and talk to Jay, and Jay would come up with some ideas and throw some ideas. Jay was really smart, I think he's the most senior person on our team. And so he would come up with some, you know, what do you think about this? And then I'd, you know, shoot some ideas around with him and brainstorm with him. And then I'd be like, thank you, cool. And then I'd march from Jay's office right over to Blake's office, and I'd be like, Blake, I have this problem. What do you think? And Blake was different in that I don't know if he went to college at all actually, but he had done, or maybe he did go to college, and I don't remember. But he had just been doing computing stuff forever. Like, he was this guy who was just crazy rich with experience. He had been tinkering since he was a little kid, and he could just do everything. And that guy, oh my gosh, he could optimize a database like you would not believe. He just, amazing, lightning fast. So I'd go talk to Blake, and Blake would always have a different answer to my problem than Jay. Like, always. The two of them were like night and day. And then I would go talk, sometimes, I would go talk to this other guy as well, Fritz. And Fritz actually thought the most like me. He was he went to Harvard, the Michigan of the East, we call it. And so he was, I think, just like a year or two older than me. So his experience was most like my own in that it was largely theoretical. Like, we knew all the algorithms and all the textbook stuff, but less of the you know, real world experience type deal. So I'd go talk to the three of them, and usually I would get very different answers from all three of them just because they had such different experiences. And so then, after being armed with all this good information, I'd go back to my desk and I'd figure out a problem, usually borrowing pieces from each one of them, and then I would come up with the best solution to the problem. Okay? And that, my friends, is why diversity is important. Not to get, you know, more women or more, you know, minorities or sexual orientations and all this stuff. All those things are important, and being inclusive and being kind to everyone and having respect for everyone is important. But at the end of the day, diversity builds better business results. I totally get it now. I did not get it before, and I did get it after that first job when I saw, oh my gosh. And actually, point aside, all three of those guys were white males. But I would argue that we had diversity on that team in that they just had such different backgrounds. Like, diversity is more than just the things that you can see. It's more than just race and gender and all those other things. A single mom is going to think about things very differently than, you know, a girl just out of college. It totally varies. So you do want diversity on a whole bunch of different angles other than just the stuff we can see. Okay, so respect. So, and then at the end of the day, just keep in mind with respect, you can learn something from everyone. Everyone in this room is smarter than me at something. So I like to try to figure out what that is. Like, a really, really fun party game to do is just go around, meet people, and figure out what they're better than you at, and then try to learn from them. So I think if you come to that, like, come in with that attitude, it's really easy to have respect and not kind of get to that midpoint in your career where you're just like, okay, I got this job under control, I'm really smart, I know everything there is to know about whatever my particular area is. Just keep learning and keep having respect for people, even if they're younger than you, even if they, you know, have completely different ideas from you, all that stuff. Even if they use Macs. Right? Okay, cool. There you go, or Firefox, there you go. And let's see. I've had a ton of managers also in my experience with Microsoft. I think I've had 7 in the last like 5 years or something ridiculous like that. And I've learned something from all of them, even the ones that were really, really bad. There were some bad ones. And even those guys I did learn something from, so I think that's important. Okay, respect. This is good song. Who sings this? Very good. Frank Sinatra. Can you guys hear it okay? You might not be able to hear it. It's good. So this is Luck Be a Lady by Frank Sinatra. Okay, so at another conference, which was another like career skills type conference, someone had on the board, and this was kind of the basis of their talk, they said, success equals hard work plus intelligence plus luck. All right, success equals hard work plus intelligence plus luck. And when I saw that, I was infuriated. Like, that made me so mad. So I'm pretty type A, pretty driven, like I think a lot of people are in this industry. And dude, if I work hard and I am really freaking smart, then I should be successful. What is with this random element of luck being in there, right? I did not want that in the equation. That does not make any sense to me. So if I work hard and I'm smart, I want to be successful. I did not like this luck at all. And so over time, I've learned a couple things. Number one, that is absolutely freaking true. There really is luck. There really is luck in there. And so, when you think about it, these luck elements come in, even think about something as simple as an interview, right? Interviews are not an exact science. Interviewing is hard. Both sides of the desk, because if you've ever been the interviewer, being an interviewer is really hard too. It's really hard to spend an hour with someone and then be able to evaluate, like, all the stuff you do in your job. Are they a good fit or not? And so, there can even be something as simple as, you know, when you're interviewing for a particular position, did you make a connection with that interview or not? And part of that is just luck, you know? Like, oh, I feel that this person would be a good fit versus this person. I mean, even if they're both hard workers and stuff, it's maybe luck, you know, what comes across with those particular questions versus other questions. So there really is an element of luck to it. Another example, on my team, what we've been doing is kind of separating all of the key technologies that Microsoft talks about, and then we all kind of go off and do our own thing. Or, I don't want to say it like that, go off and do our thing. We all choose to focus on certain areas, and then those become our areas of expertise, and then that's what we, you know, blog about, screencast about, do public talks about. And so on our particular team, I do Windows 8. A guy by the name of Jeff Blankenberg does Windows Phone, and a guy by the name of Brian Prince does Windows Azure, which is cloud computing. And so if for instance, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, this is just hypothetically, but if like Windows Azure was wildly successful and Windows 8 totally tanked, in that scenario, like my career might kind of go or kind of stall for a second because I was the big Windows 8 person. And if Windows Azure totally took off, Brian's career might get, you know, whoosh, just because there's that kind of extra visibility and stuff he gets from this, you know, his area of expertise being so so prevalent. So again, it's kind of luck. There's some element of luck to that. As we all, you know, it's informed decision, so it's not completely luck. We all kind of made our best bets on what we thought were going to be the big things, and then moving forward with that. So there is, like, you might get put on something, like you might get put on a project that totally succeeds and, you know, becomes, you know, crucial to the company, and with that, you know, your stock just rises like crazy, stock within the company meaning, and someone else might not. So there really is some element of kind of luck in there. So how me and my therapist came to terms with this is the fact that focus on what you can control, right? So of those three things, I can't control luck. I mean, you can control luck in that you can make informed decisions and try to do your research and understand the scenarios as best as possible. But you can control working hard, so work as hard as you can all the time. And then you can control intelligence, you know, to the degree of you can control gaining knowledge, so try to gain as much knowledge as you can. And then you will be well positioned that when that luck strikes, you will be in a good place. And then when occasionally, you know, you're passed over for that promotion when you think that you thought you really deserved, or those kind of things like that, you can just say, you know what, it wasn't, that was the luck. The luck came in there. And it wasn't my fault this time. I'm going to keep being smart and working hard. And then, you know, next time, hopefully that luck is going to come on me. And then, of course, if you get kind of a series of what's, you know, bad luck, keep striking repeatedly, then that might be a sign that it's not actually luck and that, you know, there are things that you could do on those other two aspects to improve things. Cool. Cool. All right. I'm such a dork. I love the song. Oh, Bette Midler. Oh, I gave it away. There you go.
That's okay. But what movie was it from?
Wings? No?
Close.
Close.
It's a one-word movie.
Should know this. I don't remember.
Beaches.
Beaches, thank you. That's right. We actually used to warm up to this in my ballet class, so I still instinctively want to do pliés when I hear the song. All right, so Wind Beneath My Wings. This one is probably fairly obvious to you guys, right? The importance of all of those people who are the wind beneath your wings. So what I'm really talking about here is role models and mentors. All right, all the role models and mentors in your life. I have, so let me differentiate with what I think the difference between role models and mentors are. Role models are the people that I worship from afar and I stalk on Twitter, but that I probably never will have a real relationship with. All right, Marissa Mayer from Google, you know, big women CEOs, really well-respected technical women in the industry. Those are kind of my what I call role models. I differentiate that from mentors in that mentors are folks that I have a relationship with that are actively helping me grow and be a better person. So I think both are really important. It's good to see these role models out in the community. I was at the Grace Hopper conference a couple of years ago, which is one of the biggest, actually it is the biggest women in technology conference in the world. And I spent like, I don't know how long chasing around Fran Allen. Princess Ellen is the first female Turing Award winner, and she comes every year, and I actually chased her around till I got my picture taken with her, which is on my blog, and you can see it, and it's me and Fran Allen, and it's so cool. And so those kind of people I think are role models. You can see these people that you just admire, that are just such amazing folks, and then you kind of respect and use them as kind of examples. Mentors, for mentors, I actually choose mentors based on something that I want to learn from them. So I have one mentor for like blogging. If I want to get better at blogging, I reach out to someone who is a phenomenal blogger and say, hey, will you mentor me on this? We can meet like once a month. You can kind of review the things that I've been posting. Tell me if, you know, there's things that could be better. What can I do to attract more people? What, you know, is there anything about the tone that could make it more interesting? That, you know, could it be a snappier title? Like anything, you know, around blogging. You know, I go to this blogging mentor. I have another mentor for work-life balance, because the blogging person is actually horrible at work-life balance. So just, you know, choose different people based on what they're good at, And don't get stuck into that trap that you have to only have one mentor. Because choose what the aspects are that you want to learn from people and what other people are good at, and then use them as your mentor in that particular area. The other thing, another trap that I think we sometimes get fallen into for the women in the room is a lot of times, or what I found when I first got out of college, I was in a team with all guys reporting to a guy. And so he's like, I really think you need a female mentor. Let me, connect you with this woman. So he connected me with the woman who ran the PM team, and she was not a technical woman at all. And so our one-on-ones were just stupid because there wasn't really anything I wanted to learn. I mean, the things that I wanted to learn at that point, I was just out of college, I really wanted to grow technology, I wanted all this stuff, and she wasn't there to do any of that. So it was just because we were both women that he thought I needed to have a female mentor in case I had any random female questions. But I didn't. At that point, it was like, I do think there are random female questions that come up, like the first time I got pregnant and had to tell my boss, I was terrified. How do you do that? And so in that case, things like that, it's nice to have a female her and just kind of be like, okay, how do I do it? Do have a written thing with a plan in place already? Do I have to tell him this? Do I have to tell him that? When do I tell him? All of that stuff is, you may need a female mentor at that point. But at that point, just out of college and stuff, I mean, I really wasn't thinking about any of that kind of stuff yet. So I didn't, so don't feel like because you're female, you need a female mentor all the time. It's good to have a mix of both. I have a lot, mainly male mentors as well. Okay? And then the last thing I want to say about this is I challenge everyone in this room to be a role model to others in one of two ways. We need to so I have all these role models I've learned for and mentors that I've had as well. We all need to offer it to the next generation and raise up those coming behind us as well. And I think the two best ways to do that and to be a role model to others are speaking and blogging. Speaking and blogging. So I challenge everyone in this room at some point in your career to either speak or blog. And the reason for that is that those people are seen as quote-unquote experts, right, in your field. So if you're knowledgeable enough to be posting, articles on something on a regular basis, then you're seen as, oh, cool, I went to that person's blog and they helped me solve this question that I was having or debug this problem I was having, and so, oh my gosh, I worship this person. They are a role model to me. Same thing with speaking. I've seen this person speak on whatever technology and they seem so good at it, and so now they're a role model to me. So it's a good way to inspire future generations, I think. And so speaking is great, but I understand it is not for everyone. There are some people who are, terrified. What's the thing about at the funeral? I think people are more scared. They took the poll, and more people are scared of actually public speaking than are scared of dying. So like if you were at a funeral, it'd actually be scared. You'd rather be in the box than delivering the eulogy kind of deal. So all of those things. So if you are one of those people who would just die rather than public speak, blog. Blogging is great for introverts. You can just blog, get your thoughts out there, and then make them visible in a very kind of non-threatening way. Okay? All right. Yes, I went there.
Hey, I'm sometimes
nice. Thank you. Okay. Who sings this? All right. So what can we learn from Dear Brit? There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things we could actually learn from Dear Brittany on what not to do. But on this, what I want to focus on for this is the importance of making mistakes. Okay? Making mistakes. Making mistakes is actually good. You should make mistakes. You should go out there and make big bets, take big risks, make mistakes, and then learn from your mistakes. That's an important part. You shouldn't make the big mistakes without learning from them, but so you have to have that follow on. But make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. So what I mean by this, again, this was at the Grace Hopper conference, the Big Women in Tech conference, and they actually did, there was this one session where they did a panel, and the women on that panel were, of the geek female world, were like the geek female celebs, all right, that were on this panel. At the time, so this was a couple years back, so it was Carol Bartz, who was the CEO of Yahoo at the time. It was Barbara Liskov of the Liskov substitution principles. You guys probably heard about that from your university courses. a professor at MIT now. She was there. And then also, who else? Oh, Rebecca Norlander, who was, so there's this job at Microsoft. She's a Microsoftie. There's this role at Microsoft, which is called the TA, so it stands for technical assistant. It doesn't actually sound that glamorous, but it's actually, you're like the right-hand man of a exec type person, so the technical right-hand man of an exec. So like Bill Gates always had a TA that was like working on his special projects and stuff like that. And Rebecca is the first, and I think maybe the only female TA, and she was actually TA to Ray Ozzie when he was there. So Rebecca, so she's just this amazing, really technical, one of the highest ranking technical females at Microsoft. And so and then there's this amazing woman from HP whose name I'm forgetting. So there's just this really amazing group of women out there that was like major female geek power. And so they were having a conversation, and to close, it was like a panel discussion. And then the last question the panel got was, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? And like, I think 3 out of the 4 people or something like that, like a really high percentage of them, said they would have taken more risks, even more risks. That every time they had been successful in their career was because they just took a chance on something and went with it, and it really paid off in a big way. So they made a big bet, they took a big risk, and then boom. And so they said they would have done that even more often. So I think that's a really key thing. Make big mistakes, take big risks. It's pretty awesome. So a personal story. I know when I think I was, I don't know, maybe 2 years out of college or something. Not, maybe even less than that, I don't remember. But my manager, I was working on, this was when I was a developer in Microsoft, and my manager asked me to be the security guru of our team because all the code at Microsoft has to go through this, what we call an ACE review. So it's the ACE is the security team, and they do this big review on any code before it gets published, because I don't know, for some reason hackers really like to attack Microsoft. Who knows? And so he made me the security guru to like find any existing security holes in our software before it got to the ACE review. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to, I mean, that is terrifying. It was really, really scary. And I did not know that much about security, besides, the very basics that you need to be able to impersonate Angelina Jolie and hackers. And so what I ended up doing is I found some automated tools that tested for kind of found patterns essentially in your code for major security holes, ran that, got those problems fixed, and did some other things and some reading and just research and stuff. And we eventually went to that ACE security review and had like no major issues. So like that was just this awesome feeling where I didn't know like anything about security basically, and then I learned a lot and was able to be successful. So that was just an amazing feeling as well. All right, this is inside too. I feel like we should all be holding up lighters and be like, yeah, stick together, man.
Just your phone.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Oh, nice. I love it. Lighter app idea. Anybody know who sings that?
Yeah, which version?
No, that was
That's true. That's actually the Bill Withers version.
Yes.
Bill Withers, yeah. Okay, so Lean on Me. So I've already talked about the importance of like role models and mentors, so this is not that. What I mean by Lean on Me is just all of the other support I need to be successful, all right? Outsource. Outsource as much as you can. So I think a lot of us we get busy, there's a lot of stuff to get done, and there's kind of that saying, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time, and all of those kind of things. I personally have a whole group of people that I lean on that makes me successful. I have to travel a lot, which stinks. I have 2 young children. I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I mean, it's really hard traveling as much as I do, and having little kids, and just, there's just a lot of stress as well with my job. And so I have a whole bunch of people who make me successful. I mean, I have an awesome husband. I have mothers and in-laws who watch the kids when I have to do like evening user groups and such. I have this angel of a daycare lady who watches the kids out of her home and like will watch them late sometimes, and puts up with me, which I don't know why she does. Same with my husband, don't know why he does it either. And so there's just all these people that I lean on to be successful. And there's actually a pretty interesting thing that I heard a while back, and that is out of time, health, and money. Time, health, and money. Pick 2. At any given time, you can have 2. All right? So when you're younger, you have plenty of time, and you have your health, but you don't really have that much money. All right? And then at the point where I'm at now, and it is not middle-aged. All right? Early 30s is not middle-aged. But at the point where I'm at, okay, maybe early to mid. But what I'm saying is, at that point in your life, at the point that I'm at right now, you have, when you're kind of partway into your career, whatever, you're solidly into your career, you have money and you have your health, but you don't have any freaking time at all, ever. And then finally, at the end, you know, when you retire and stuff like that, it's great because you have time again and you have money, but at that point, your health may be starting to fail. Okay? So at any given point, you get 2. So what I am saying here is optimize for the thing you don't have. I don't have time right now. I'm at the point where I would give anything for an extra, like that daylight savings time, the extra hour. I was like, yes, I can do so much more with this extra hour. I need this so bad. And so essentially what I do is optimize for things that give me more time. So for example, this is very embarrassing for me to admit because I had a mother that very strongly disapproved of this, but I have a cleaning lady. I know, seriously, like I had my mom, like growing up, like I remember my dad asked her a couple times, hey, do you want to get a cleaning lady to help a little bit and stuff? And my mom was always like bristle and be so insulted that my dad thought that she needed a cleaning lady. Which is probably another story. But like, so I like came from this mentality, since we kind of inherit some of these things from our parents, the mentality that cleaning ladies are bad. If you need a cleaning lady, then you can't do it all yourself, and it's a very, very bad thing to do a cleaning lady. But like it's just gotten to the point where, you know, when I am in town and when I'm not working, that limited precious time that I do have with my husband and my kids, I don't want to spend it cleaning, right? And I do have, we are comfortable money-wise, and so it makes enough sense to me to make that money versus time trade-off and pay for someone to do, you know, pay the money, spend the money to get someone to take care of that for me, so that way I get that time back to spend with my family. So again, making the choice. And it could be something as simple, you know, the cleaning lady example might be a little extreme. It might be as simple as something as buying those ridiculous freaking $5 bags of pre-made salad, as opposed to buying all this stuff separately and washing it and chopping it and assembling it yourself. And it is ridiculous how much they pay for the stupid already made ones, but I do it sometimes. I will pay for the convenience of things that are like already, you know, ready to go, so that way I do get some of that time back sometimes. And that may change over time, right? If I decided to take a few years off and be a stay-at-home mom and just focus on my kids for a couple years, that would probably change. Like the money versus time ratio would change a little bit. Money would become a little bit harder to come by, and I hopefully have a little more time, even though I don't want to say that because I think it's really insulting to stay-at-home moms, because oh my gosh, they have a lot to do as well. So, but you know, that might change at that point, and maybe I would, you know, make the salad myself, or kind of, salad's probably a stupid example, but hopefully you guys get what I mean. Okay, everybody good? Good. Okay. So time, money, and health, pick 2, and outsource and lean on other people. It really does take a village to be successful. Okay, last one. Right? Okay, yeah, now we're good. All right. Street lights, people. Okay, the last thing is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. So, has anyone heard of the imposter syndrome? No, okay, cool. So let me tell you a little story to illustrate this. So, or actually, I'll explain it first. The imposter syndrome, you can go look it up. So I think it's on Wikipedia. Everything worth knowing is on Wikipedia, of course. So the imposter syndrome is the feeling that no matter how successful I am and how hard I've worked and such, I'm really just faking it. And at some point, somebody's going to figure out that I don't really know everything and that I don't know what I'm talking about, and you know, call me on it. So they actually, I keep using so many Grace Hopper examples, but they did a panel on the imposter syndrome a couple years back, and it was these again amazingly successful women who had made great strides in the industry and you know, done these really amazing things, and all of them stood up there and was like, I'm an imposter. I don't, because you know, you realize the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. And so that whole kind of feeling of I'm just faking it and somebody's going to figure that out someday, that's a very real thing. And women and men do experience that all the time, is this feeling of the imposter syndrome. And I can give you an example, or a personal example of that, the Silverlight story. So, way back when, this was when Silverlight was first released, so it was some time ago. And myself and a colleague of mine were going to give a big talk at this really big company that you probably have heard of, but I won't say their name. It was a really big insurance company. And they were doing like essentially a day of .NET where we were having a full like 8-hour-long day thing, and they had a whole bunch of presentations they wanted done. So it's probably 8 different presentations for an 8-hour day or close to that. And so we were, or maybe 7 or 6, but anyway, we had this big list of sessions that we had to deliver for this day, and it was me and my colleague, and so we were kind of splitting them up. And so we were trying to figure out who was going to do what. And so the Silverlight one came up, and you know, it was like our manager was saying, okay, who wants to do Silverlight? And I was like, I don't know, because like I downloaded Silverlight, and I had watched, you know, the keynote and stuff where it was announced, and I, you know, downloaded a demo and played with it, but I hadn't actually written any Silverlight code myself yet. So I was like, you know, I don't really know it that well yet. And my colleague was like, oh, I got Silverlight. I know Silverlight really well. I can do it. And I was like, okay, cool, thank you. So he was gonna do the Silverlight talk. And so fast forward, of course, to this talk, and my colleague gets up there and does it, and oh my God, you guys, he totally sucked. It was so bad. It was so bad. So at this point, he went up there and gave the talk. First of all, Silverlight, if you're not familiar with it, is a front end, like presentation level technology where you could do like cool stuff with animations and stuff like that. And so you really have to see it to see that it's cool. And he didn't do any demos. Like, he basically just presented a marketing deck, which was always a bad idea to do to developers. And like when the Q&A came up, like he answered a question that was wrong. Like someone asked, hey, does it work like this? Does this do this thing? And he's like, yeah, no, I think it does. And I knew for a fact that it didn't. I knew that was not how it worked. And then it's like, okay, crap, now I'm in this really bad position. I can either correct my colleague and make him look like an idiot, or let this person believe something that's not true. Like, you know, what do you do? And so, which is why you should always say, I don't know, if you don't know the answer to the question. So the scariest thing in the world are people who lie because they don't know stuff. But anyway, bringing this back to imposter syndrome, in this particular scenario, because I'm not going to be completely arrogant, but in this particular scenario, I knew more than my colleague on a particular topic. So I did talk to him later, and I found out he had just watched the keynote delivery of Silverlight, and from that felt like he knew it. Whereas I, who had actually watched the keynote delivery, downloaded Silverlight and downloaded some Silverlight demos and played with them, but hadn't written code yet, I felt like I did not know it. So in this particular scenario, I had this level of knowledge, he had this level of knowledge, but I still felt like this was not enough, and he felt like this was just fine. Okay? So that's imposter syndrome. Just feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, I don't know what I'm talking about. And so this, and again, it's not a male-female thing. I don't want to make it about that. I do think there are just some people, so generically, in general, so as not to be completely sexist, women do suffer from low confidence, I think, more often. So it is something that is very common with women, but there are a lot of guys who have that same feeling as well. So imposter syndrome, but still, it blows my mind, like how many times, because I go to conferences and I talk to folks, and there are just so many success stories I've heard too. Like, there's just some amazing stuff. Like, I saw the sessions list. There's some there's some really smart people in this room doing some really cool stuff. I go to conferences and I talk to graduate students and see, just being graduate students, this amazing research they're doing and all of the impact they're making. So believe in yourselves. Honestly, everyone here is capable of such amazing things and is really doing some, very cool work. Even when it seems, day to day gets boring or tedious or whatever, take a step back and realize, what am I doing? I'm actually working on, medical software that's going to help save lives. Or I'm actually doing some, online banking stuff that is kind of, really cool in terms of like the security and stuff that we need to do to make this happen. So just really take a step back and think about that and believe in yourselves. Because everyone here is capable of greatness. Thank you.